Good morning, good evening, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. I am Tim, and shortly I will be joined by my co-commentator, Oliver. Unfortunately, he is running just a little bit late today, but hey, you know what? We're going to give him a pass on that. Until then, you're going to have to settle with me, and I'll tell you right now, I am excited for this one. And if you can't tell already, it's because it is technically my home race. Yes, that is right. We're at the United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. And I say it's technically my home race because I actually looked it up this morning. And if I were to go to the Circuit of the Americas, it would actually take me 16 hours driving. Yes, 16-hour drive to get to the Circuit of the Americas. So it's really only my home track when you take into consideration that I'm in the same country. Nonetheless, I would very much love to attend Formula One Grand Prix somewhere in the world one day. Just have not been able to do so yet. And we haven't even got the Speed Force Racing United States Grand Prix underway quite yet, but we will very soon. As I said, Oliver's running just a little bit late today, so we're going to have to wait on him. I don't know if we're going to start the race early or not. But, of course, as you can see, we have a decent field. We got Bannister, Energy Dan, Racing Pod, Shadow Lancer, Sanath, Psychomich, Hookie, Fanny Lion, Calvin Racing, Gizlodian, Snellweg, Proliver, Gamey Things. So we have the whole cast and crew here today, ready to take it to the Circuit of the Americas and ready to maybe win. But only one driver can stand on the top spot of that podium. Now, while we are waiting to jump into this thing, let's turn our attention to the point standings. The point standings, of course, Snellweg still leads. Snellweg very consistent and has been basically the entire season thus far. But he is only leading Energy Dan by about 16 points. Energy Dan, of course, coming in second last week in Japan, while Snellweg only scored 8 points. So, Energy Dan made up a 10-point deficit to Snellweg to get to the 16-point gap that they're at right now. And we only have 4 races remaining, including today. So, that means that time is of the essence. That clock is ticking for Energy Dan if he wants to go up there and try to snatch this championship away from Snellweg. All Snellweg has to do is be consistent and score decent points for the next 4 races, and he should be champion. But if Energy Dan knocks it out of the water and wins every race from here on out, who knows what it's going to look like. As I said, a 16-point deficit, and those are really the only 2 drivers in contention for this championship thus far. Hookie has 170 points. So the only way that he could mathematically win the championship is if he won every single race from here on out, and Snellweg and Energy Dan failed to score points in all 4 races. So, technically speaking, the math is still there that Hookie could win this championship, but it is highly unlikely that we're going to see the top 2 drivers of the season not score points 4 races in a row. But, you know, we've seen crazier things happen. Who knows what's in store for us here in the future? Now, to update you on the constructors' standings, AlphaTauri, I'm sure it comes to no surprise to anybody that they are leading the point standings. Of course, the constructors' standings is something that we've kind of let slide by us a little bit. We've been so focused on the Drivers' Championship that we have not really taken a deep, detailed look at the constructor standings. But so far, we have 411 points to AlphaTauri. That is, of course, Energy Dan and Hookie. Very consistent all season, those drivers have been. And then in second, we have McLaren. Of course, that is Snellweg and Kara. And they have 321 points. 237 points belongs to the Red Bull in third, and 236 points belongs to Scuderia Ferrari in fourth. Of course, Ferrari being Sonic Hawk and Racing Podge. So, the constructor standings, really not much of a battle there. If AlphaTauri can stay consistent, they will win this constructor standings regardless as to whether or not one of their drivers is able to win the championship. And I'm actually going to make a correction on my part. Hookie is no longer in third, I've just noticed. It is actually Gamey Things who has been able to propel himself into third in the driver standings, and he is the one with 170 points. So technically speaking, even Hooky and Gamey thinks both could win this championship, but again, both top 2 drivers, that being Snellwagon and Energy Dan, would have to fail to score points in the next 4 races, and one of those drivers would basically have to win each race. So, still possible, but highly unlikely. But nonetheless, it has been a magnificent showing from all of these drivers, and just gonna say, good job to Gamey Things for getting himself up there into that 3rd place. We have seen Gamey Things time and time again be able to clinch a podium, sometimes out of nowhere. He's just very quiet, and he's very reserved in the race. He doesn't make a lot of noise, but he's usually there at the end, and that's what's really got him up there into the 3rd place, is that consistency. Whereas Hooky has been very consistent, but has also had a few DNFs and some bad luck. So that, of course, translates to a slightly lesser performance in the driver's standings. And it's not always Hooky's fault. We have seen him get caught up in wrecks. Sometimes he's made mistakes. Sometimes others around him have made mistakes. It's just how it works. However, I am starting to hear a familiar voice on the other end of the line. Is that Oliver that's come to join us?
Yes, it is, Timbo. It is. Yes, mate.
You sound like you're out of breath. Go get some water.
Mate, I just came back. Don't want to try. I had to let you shoot up to do something, but bloody hell, I just came back.
Well, we'll give you just a minute, Oliver. Don't worry. We're not even starting. Well, we are starting the lobby now. We actually waited for you. We're nice people.
Thanks, guys. Whew. Bloody hell. Welcome to your home, Tim. Welcome to your home race.
Yeah, exactly.
Austin, Texas.
Exactly. However, you weren't here when I mentioned it, but I did mention to the nice folks watching on stream that this racetrack is actually a 16-hour drive from where I live, so it's only a home race in the technical sense. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful track, is it not?
Oh, COTA is a mix of so many things. It's one of those tracks that you just can't get away from. It's a mix of Silverstone. It's a mix of so many things. And I need to invite it to the lobby, Tim, because the voice manager Dan does not work for apparent reason.
Uh-oh. Well, we are currently in a loading screen. I will get you an invite here in just a moment. So everyone's going to have to bear with me for just a quick second while I invite Oliver. But first, we get to watch the beautiful scenes of COTA before we actually get into the paddock. Watch the beautiful scenes of COTA. Hey, who's that? I've never heard that guy before in my life.
Switch on the stream. Don't worry, Rage. I am now back. Yes, I am now back. Don't you worry. I had to shoot off to get a lovely kitten from my brother's, and who's staying for a couple of hours. So, yeah, I couldn't be much more happy.
Okay, there seems to be some issues here. Hopefully we are still live. If not, we will fix that momentarily. Sending an invite to Oliver now.
Tim.
All right, there we go. It just froze up for a minute when I tried to send you the invite, but now we've got it, and we're looking down this beautiful F1 paddock, just waiting for the first driver to blink to go out for qualifying.
How many drivers have we got in today, Tim?
Looks like we've got a 15-driver field so far.
15-driver field. Fair enough.
So we got Need for Speed. Ooh, what do you know?
We got a wet race. We got a wet race.
We have a wet race. Oh my goodness.
A wet race.
Now that is going to be magnificent.
That's going to throw a spanner in the works. Jesus Christ. I'm in, buddy.
So, as per usual, Need for Speed, of course, being the first driver out on track. Of course, a good friend of yours, Oliver.
Yep, Mr. Harry, yep. Great tribute from the drivers last week for Need for Speed after his mother passed away, Fiona. We all wishes, and all best wishes still go to Harry and his family. But isn't it nice, Tim? A week after the passing, Need for Speed is out on track with us, with his head still strong, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is a wonderful thing to do, and if any of us have lost a close family member, we know that it's not something that you can easily overcome, because it's just, you're obviously stricken with grief because you love them so much. So to see Need for Speed come out here, and yeah, he saved that. That was a good save from Need for Speed.
Very good save from Need for Speed. Very, very good save indeed. So yes, the snow egg is confirmed. It's rain for the race. Per Oliver, it's going to be a wet race. That's going to be really, really good. Yeah, no Sonic Hawk, I presume. Yeah, no Sonic Hawk for this race. He's got other commitments. So, it doesn't matter. We've still got one other Ferrari driving over, which is Racing Podge, which is good to see. Oh, we have got 16. Who's the 16 driver just joined us, Tim? I think Zandmeister in it.
Either that or Racing Podge. I honestly forgot, because when I did
our 16th driver.
Well, hey, you know what? The more the merrier. I say let's get 4 more drivers in here, and then we'll have a full field here for Circuit of the Americas.
Indeed.
So just watching Need for Speed on his, well, not his out lap, but his flying lap, actually going to ride on board with him as he's going through Sector 1, just about to enter Sector 2. This is a nice DRS zone here going uphill. Really the best place for a DRS zone, if you ask me, when you're going uphill, simply because you hate going uphill. It just slows you down. That's what I'm always thinking, but in practice, at least in qualifying, you do have the benefit of the DRS. Now, this is a very difficult corner to get just right. As you can see, it's not exactly a 90-degree corner. It's a little bit more than that, honestly. It's a little bit more of an acute angle. So it's very difficult to actually get around these corners here at Circuit of the Americas. It's very short straightaways and tight corners. And then you get Sector 3 that's just this very long string of sweeping corners that if you go too fast into, you're going to go wide, but you have to go fast to keep the pace on the lap. So Need for Speed just having one more corner to go before we see where his qualifying time ends up. The time to beat will be a 1:35.828 for Need for Speed.
The Racing Pod is the next guy to come through the line. Here comes Racing Podge. Racing Podge coming through the line now. It's going to be a 1:31.6. So that's good from his part. I believe one of the McLarens are going to start their lap now. So I believe Gislodian is the next guy to... No, it's not Gislodian. It's a Racing Point. I'm trying to think who it is. It's one of the Racing Points. I think it's a Racing Point. Have we got a Racing Point today? It's Bannister. Yes, it is. Bannister just came through the line. 1:31.659, which is a really good time for him. And Calvin Racing. Well, no one's known as Super Clavin, but now it's Calvin Racing. 1:31.4. 2 tenths faster from Calvin Racing. Tim, I want to ask you, as an American, and of course the American Grand Prix returned to the calendar in 2012 with this track. Well, how do you compare this track to the last American Grand Prix, which of course is at Indianapolis? What was your thoughts?
Well, back when the American Grand Prix was held at Indianapolis, it was actually long before I started watching F1, so really my only exposure to the previous American Grand Prix was the farce that happened in, I believe, 2005. It was over a big controversy over tires, to where I believe only 6 drivers actually started that race.
Yeah, I watched that, yeah. That was one of the biggest farces in Formula 1 ever, really, to be fair.
Yeah, and that's really the only time that I've had any exposure to it. I did not watch it on TV, but when I started to learn about Formula 1, I learned about that incident, and I'm like, wow. And that was actually when I first learned that it was held at the Indianapolis Raceway. Of course, about the Indianapolis racetrack, the road course is a very wonderful layout, and of course the NASCAR Xfinity Series just ran their first race here this past season, and the Cup Series is now going to go there next year, in addition to Circuit of the Americas. So NASCAR is going to be visiting this track in the 2021 season, so long as COVID doesn't get in the way. Oh, it really is. So I am excited for this.
Hooky?
Is it Hooky? Let's see what Hooky is doing. Now, Oliver,
Hooky,
I'm not sure if you... Now, I'm not sure if you looked at the point standings, but Hooky is actually in 4th now by 3 points, gaining things, and was able to jump him into 3rd.
No way! I did not see the point standings. That's incredible.
And believe it or not, if my math is correct, they are technically still in the championship fight, but they would have to win the next 4 races, and Energy Dan and Snelwig would have to fail to score points in all of them.
And do you really see any chance of that happening?
very, very small chance. It's technically possible, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Energy Dan and Snellwig, they have been so consistent all season long.
To be fair, with this wet race coming up, Tim, I mean, people will be sliding about, they'll be sprayed, they'll be blinded by the spray. Depends on the intensity of the weather. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that happens. Per Oliver is about to come across in the Mercedes now into the third sector in his Merc. I mean, have you saw on Facebook, Tim, about celebrities reacting to Lewis Hamilton's achievement? I mean, I saw Ronnie O'Sullivan, the snooker player, saying that it's like you could drive a car with one finger and that. So, saying his achievement for 7 world titles is not, not that special. I tend to disagree, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that the 7 world titles is something very special because this has not been done since 2004 when Michael Schumacher scored his 7th championship. And now Lewis Hamilton, about 16 years later, clinching his 7th title. It is legendary. It is a big deal. So anyone who says it's not a big deal, just they're talking about something that they don't understand. And if they don't understand Formula One, they should educate themselves before they say that that is not special, because even if you go across the pond and look at NASCAR, there are only 3 7-time champions, that being Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Jimmy Johnson, who just retired at the end of this season. So it is not something that you see every day. And in World Rally Car, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are only 2 champions that have made it to 7 times, one of them being Sebastian Loeb.
So actually, Sebastian Loeb's got 9 world titles. To be fair to him, he's got 9 in his illustrious career in world rally championships. So yeah, Sebastian Loeb is still the GOAT in world rally championships. But that we all know, Tim. There's also all records meant to be broken, and of course, Michael Schumacher's record looks most likely to be broken. So we have to see when see. Here goes one of our championship contenders. One of our main ones, Energy Dan. It's about to come across the line very, very shortly.
So let's take a look at Energy Dan now.
I mean, Energy Dan has been on fire towards the latter part of the season, Tim. You talk about his results compared to Snellwig's. The championship fight, if it carries on like this, then we're going to the final round of the season in Abu Dhabi with these two literally going head-to-head, which we can't wait.
And that is something that I really want to see, is this championship go down to the wire, to the final race of the season, because that is what makes a good championship, I think, is when the 2 or 3 or 4 drivers, however many, are in contention for the title, are able to make it to the end of the race and still battle it out. I love the idea of not knowing who's champion until you cross the line under that checkered flag.
So Ray John has asked us, Tim, top 3 predictions for the race in wet conditions.
In wet conditions. Now that is interesting, because I was actually going to say earlier, Oliver, that we are going to find out today who is the best wet weather driver, or at least who's one of the best in the GP4 series. But I'm going to say that Energy Dan and Snellweg are going to be up there. They just seem to be a staple of this podium, and I think that Snellweg... Have we actually had a wet race this season, though? Because I was going to say I feel like Snellweg was.
We had a few wet races. We had a few.
And did we have a wet race in Vietnam, or am I mistaken?
Nice lap at Racing Pod. Look at that, the match times. Racing Pod and Calvin Racing have match times, Tim. 4.7 to the both.
Wow. So how is the tiebreaker decided? Because I know that in real life Formula One, this actually happened in the late 90s, to where 3 cars actually had the same lap time down to the 100th or maybe even the 1,000th of a second, but the pole position was determined on who set the time first. Now, Calvin set the time first here, but Racing Podge was just scored second, so apparently the tiebreaker's reversed.
I think so, in my opinion, yeah. I think it's a little bit reversed, but I think this is how this game works out when it comes to their tiebreakers, so we can't argue to the fact. Here comes Gamey Things towards the line. Gamey Things towards the line now. He's been very consistent in his season. It's going to put a 1:31.191. So Gamey Things goes pole. And that's the thing, Tim, that Gamey Things, he's been very, very consistent. This is why he's jumped hooky in the championship, because it's his consistency.
Yeah, Gamey Things, he's a driver that, I was saying just as you were joining the party, actually, Oliver, that he is consistent and he's also quiet during the race. So he doesn't make a lot of noise. He doesn't really cause a lot of fuss, but he's usually there at the end. And just as you rightly said, that is how he's been able to get into third. And third place is still up for grabs. It's only separating Hooky and Gaming Things by 3 points. So one of them Hooky could get back into third after this race, or Gaming Things could increase the deficit on Hooky. Now, as we've talked about, it's definitely a long uphill battle to first place that may not even be able to be surpassed. But, you know, third place, it's still bragging rights, and it's still a podium in the point standings.
Are we joining in some more excitement, Tim?
What's that?
Anything Dan just texted in on our Facebook chat, and he said it's going to be a wet race until the last 5 laps.
Wow. Okay, so Oliver, you have more experience racing in Speed Force racing than I do. So explain to me, what would you do when you know that? Do you think that the track would actually dry up enough in, say,
Calvin
2 or 3 laps?
Purple, Tim.
Okay, let's take a look at Calvin. But would you pit when it stops raining, or would you try to stay out and take the lead? Because that really puts a spanner in the works as far as strategy goes, because your first instinct... Go ahead.
If you have a good setup with the car, and like if the track dries up really well and you got good pace in the car, those intermediates, they can go a little bit on a dry track. But if you can pit 2 laps early, yes, the pain will be a little bit suffering. But once the track really dries up, you get the main advantage. You probably gain places, but it depends on how you're driving with the car and everything else. So I would say that it could be a main advantage, but it could be a disadvantage. We just have to wait and see. I mean, it's going to be a very entertaining race, to say the least. So we'll have to see how the drivers feel when it comes to the final 5 laps of the race, Tim. But I'll tell you now, it's going to be one exciting race. I'll tell you that now.
I won't be surprised if we see a few drivers pit for softs and try to make a gamble. But honestly, I do not see the top 3 drivers pitting unless they have a free pit stop already. I mean, if you have a free pit stop, then you might as well go for it. But otherwise, I just see them trying to stay out on the intermediates or the wets, whatever they're on at that point, and just trying to make it the distance.
And you actually made a little good point there, Tim. What's the intensity of the weather is going to be, Tim? Is it going to be a pour down? Is it going to be pour down, or is it going to be inter conditions? We don't know.
And that, I really love that. I just love the unknown going into this, because I didn't even know it was going to be a wet race until you mentioned it, and I'm just excited. I want that clock up there to just tick down and get to 0 so we can start this race. But we do need to finish qualifying first to give everyone a fair chance. And Fanny Lion almost actually hitting the wall on pit entry there, taking a look, trying to find someone who's on their flying lap. Looks like Gizlodian.
On the lap.
And Need for Speed as well. So Need for Speed really not having the best time so far, being 16th on the grid. Gizlodian, who we were talking about just a second ago, he is just ahead of Need for Speed in 15th place. So we'll look at Gizlodian here for just a moment. He's a little bit further ahead on the track, but he has invalidated his lap, I just noticed, so he will not set a time this lap around. And Need for Speed is A-okay so far, so we'll ride on board with him and see what he can do. He is just now entering what looks to be Sector 3. Yes, it is. These very long, fast corners that, honestly, I hate Sector 3 at this racetrack. I'll just be honest.
Is that left-hander that always gets me, Tim? Is that left-hander that Harry went through there? It's so blinding of a corner. You've got to really turn it... Funny enough, you've got to really turn in super early just to make the corner. If you don't, you're going to go out wide and then you're going to invalidate. It's such a funny corner that is in that left. It looks simple, but it really isn't.
Yeah, it really isn't at all. And honestly, I'm going to say that turn 1 is also a bit of a problem child for me as well. It's an easy corner to make, but it's not an easy corner to make at speed, because you have all this room and you want to go wide, but you also want to cut it, because it's basically like you're turning around. You are completely doing a 180 and turning around. So you've got to be so precise to get that speed right.
Sanat's on a good one too. He's just went purple, 2/10 faster. So Sanat is looking on a very good drive in the Williams. He's got Cara in the way. Kara's got to get out of the way of Sanaf because he's on a very good lap, on a run, but Kara's on an out lap. Kara's got to get out of the way for Sanaf because Sanaf's on his way. Oh, Kara's just got away only just, but has he cost Sanaf time, Tim?
He might have, and you know, I don't think that it's anything that Kara did wrong there. He did get out of the way, so if he did cost him time, it was just a matter of circumstance, and it does not.
He lost a bit of time there. He lost a bit.
I don't think he improved his lap time.
No, exactly. It was purple, then Kara got in the way.
Yeah, and you know, that's just what happens sometimes, and like I said, it's nothing that Kara did wrong. He got out of the way as soon as he was able. It was just a matter that Saneth kind of had to whoa up a little bit in anticipation of catching Kara, and it just cost him a little bit of time.
Here comes Hooky towards the final corner, so Hooky is trying to improve his lap time. He's battling with gaming things for battle for third in the championship. Here comes Hooky and puts his car into second place. Energy Dan is retired from the session, so his qualifying is done. Snellweg is on a lap. We got drivers coming for Racing Podge to set the fastest time. Oh, first going to the 130s. Incredible lap for Racing Podge, Tim.
And it's a 130.479. So approximately 6/10 of a second faster than Gaming Things. That is very impressive.
Gaming Things is invalidated, so he won't improve. Snellweg's invalidated, and he won't improve. Kara is on a purple sector, so let's see what Kara can do. Let's see what he can do, Tim. Kara is the next guy to cross on a purple, Tim.
So Kara in sector 3 now. Approaching that blind left-hander. Actually hit the apex perfectly there. That was beautiful from Kara. Final corner now, about to cross the line. Where does Kara end up? He goes to 8.
It's not enough. Good work there. Nice work.
131.393 from Kara. He did improve just a little bit, though, getting up to 8th place. Psychomich crossing the line, and he will improve his time just a little bit, a 132.319.
Whoa!
And he still improves his time, a 132.111 for Proliver.
Quickly for speed, pirouetting in front of him. That was brilliant.
And so,
Martin said the purple is a glitch. It means personal best instead of fast of all. Thanks, Co-Masters. I really do appreciate your timing systems.
And it's actually supposed to be green for your personal best, isn't it?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
Unfortunate. However, at least we know that he did set a personal best in that sector. So, you know, good job there to... actually, I forgot who we were talking about, to be honest.
Kara. You were talking about Kara, yeah.
All right, yeah, Kara. And, you know, he did improve his lap time. He went from 9th to 8th place, so it was an improvement there. So, you know, good job on Kara. He's starting in 8th. His teammate of Snellweg looks like he's going to be starting in 6th. So both McLaren starting very close to each other. And look who is splitting them down the middle.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So we got our championship contenders, 6th and 7th. The teammate of one of the championship contenders in 8th. The other teammate of the championship contender in 3rd.
I love that. Snellweg Dan, 6th and 7th. That's going to be a bit juicy in the wet conditions.
So your official starting lineup for the United States Grand Prix for the GP4 series. Racing Podge in 1st, Gaming Things in 2nd, Hooky in 3rd, 4th is Calvin, Bannister in 5th, Snellweg 6th, 7th is Energy Dan, Kara in 8th, 9th is Saneth Proliver in 10th, Psychomich 11th, 12th is Fanny Lion, 13th Shadowlancer, Admeister 14th, 15th, Need for Speed, Gizlodian in 16th.
Look at that for a time for Racing Podge, Tim. A 130.4 compared to a 131.1. That is incredible. 7/10 faster. Are you actually taking the mic, Racing Podge? That's incredible.
So Racing Podge may be one to watch here, but let's not forget it is going to be a wet race. So we know how Racing Podge is in the dry. How is he in the wet?
And how heavy is this wet weather going to be? Is it going to be really heavy, or is it going to be very light?
Well, we're about to find out here in just a moment, and it looks like it's fairly heavy, but
it down.
However, is it heavy enough for wet weather tires? That's the question, and that is the question that they're going to have to ask themselves, and that's the decision the drivers are going to have to make.
Do you remember the 2015 Grand Prix in USA, Tim? That we had that you guys had that monsoon coming in. It was not even a monsoon; it was a hurricane, wasn't it, Tim? In 2015, wasn't it? At the Circuit Americas, called off qualifying.
I would believe that it was a hurricane, but I don't actually remember the storm that you're talking about. But tell me about this. I'm curious now.
I think they called it a storm something. I'm trying to think what it was. Trying to think of it. It was a storm that called off qualifying. Guys in the chat, if you would like to help us out, that'd be great. It was a storm that came in in 2015 and called off qualifying in of the American Grand Prix. It was unbelievable. I'm trying to think what it was, but unfortunately my memory is not that great. So intermediate tires, and they're going inters.
All right, so intermediate tires for each and every one of these drivers. So everyone's on the same tire compound, obviously, but you only have 2 wet weather compounds to choose from. And honestly, as I ride on board with Racing Podge, I can kind of see the need for intermediates. It's not quite heavy at this point, but I am a bit surprised that no one at all decided to choose the wet weather tires. But I don't have a lot of experience really running in the rain. I've only done it a handful of times, so my knowledge on wet weather racing and you know what conditions constitute what really is not as much as I'd like it to be.
Oh, so you should listen to this comment from Ray Charles. This is brilliant. He said, "We should all go away and watch F1 at Silverstone next year. SFR trip away." That's brilliant.
Well, you're forgetting one thing, though. I don't think that many countries are actually letting Americans in at the moment. So
COVID!
So I'm stuck over here. I don't even have a passport, but I would be willing to go on that trip.
I think we all do as well.
So just waiting for these drivers to get back around to the front stretch. A nice 16-driver field today.
Of course, we are live every 7:30, of course, here at Speed Force Racing. From Monday to Friday, we've got our Classic Car Championship on Friday, which our lovely myself and Tim competes in. And let's just say the last one that we did didn't go as planned. All over the show, those cars, I must say the least.
Yeah, we were in the McLaren MP44, and it just spun around on me on the first lap. I actually had some contact with Oliver while I was spinning. I don't know what happened. It just was around on me, and then by that point, I was just waiting to retire. I had a speeding penalty in the pit lane, and I said, you know what, I'm done with this. But it was actually my first online race in F1 and my first league race here in Speed Force Racing. I've had other league races in NASCAR games, but not for F1. So it was a fun experience, and even though it was enraging and just very stressful, it was also very fun. And this Saturday, we're actually going to be racing at Monza in the 1990 Ferrari. So that is going to be
join
very...
us for that.
Yeah, and that's actually a car that I've already had a little bit of practice in, and it's very fun to drive, surprisingly. I expected it to be absolutely awful, since that was what the McLaren MP44 felt. But enough about classic cars. It is just about time to get this race underway. Racing in the wet, you hear those itchy pedal feet. You hear those engines revving, the drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Speed Force Racing GP4 Series United States Grand Prix. And you got Racing Podge in the Ferrari, Gaming Things in the Red Bull, running side by side, 4 wide in the back for second place. And Bannister, is that Bannister? Yes, it is. Going up very wide, but then he goes off track, and there's already a lot of contact. And jostling around for position. Gaming Things gets out into first. Racing Podge in second. Snellweg in third.
Reggie Dan's got a very bad start, Tim, and Snellweg, what an incredible start from him, Tim. Unbelievable. From 6th place to 3rd. Reggie Dan's got a poor start. Unbelievable. Shout out to Neighbour Speed made places, and Neighbour Speed's making even more places. Trying to get past Meister, and Meister's coming back in, and side by side they go through. Then they're almost coming contact, and they did make contact. Meister to go right. Cyclist sneaks through. And poor start for Energy Dan, Tim. Poor start.
Yeah, poor start indeed. He's all the way back down there to 8th place. Hooky down in 6th, Car in 7th, and now there's a crash. It looks like it's Need for Speed in a Mercedes of Admeister. Yes, it is. They have crashed, and now they have dropped all the way back. Psychomich was able to split the middle of those guys and get through, running in 12th place, and now it looks like we got a battle between Saneth and Proliver there for the 9th position. Proliver and Saneth, a little bit of contact there, maybe, but both drivers make it through. Saneth spins his tires just a little bit, almost goes off track, but is able to hang on to it, but he's going to have to make way for his Williams teammate of Shadowlancer, who is moving up into 10th place now.
Look at the gap already, Tim. That Gaming Face has pulled on Racing Posh nearly 2 seconds already. So good start there for Gaming Things.
And look at Energy Dan here. He's running with Kara at the moment. There was very, very minor contact just about a corner or two ago, and almost some contact there as Energy Dan gets close to Kara. Trying to go around the outside, but not able to do so. And then there is contact that time.
Energy Dan's getting really impatient. He wants to get past Kara as soon as possible because he knows that he must get past him as soon as possible as our lobby Tim does his funny dance. And here comes Energy Dan down the inside and gets him. Good move from Energy Dan.
So Energy Dan up into 5th place now. Looks like we've had a couple drivers pit, and somehow Energy Dan was able to work his way up into the 5th place, unless that is a glitch. So we're not going to actually worry about that.
Dance, Tim. Gaming Things is still leading.
So it's Gamey Things, Racing Pod, Snellweg, Calvin, Bannister. That is your top 4 at the moment. You're looking at the Red Bull of Gamey Things. Racing Podge there in 2nd, just behind him, Snellweg in 3rd. 4th, Calvin Racing, who, of course, if you're just joining us, was formerly known as Stupid Clav and now is Calvin Racing. So just a little update there for viewers who may have just joined us and didn't hear us mention that in the qualifying session. And of course, Bannister, he had a good run there. He had a really good start, but he had an awful turn 1, which kind of relegated him back to the 5th place position where he is at the moment. But still a decent start from Bannister, and he's running in a very respectable position. But it's only lap 2 of 28.
There we go.
And now everything is back to normal and A-OK. Looks like Admeister has officially been disqualified. Not sure exactly what happened there in all the carnage that we've seen in the first 2 laps, but Admeister out of this race down there in 16th. Need for Speed, of course, having just pitted for fresh intermediates because of a spin that he had. So Need for Speed being in 15th place, but at least he's got slightly fresher tires.
So this is going to be a very interesting series. Gaming Fish puts it at 151.1 for the fastest lap of the race. Snellweg in very prime position for a good result. Racing Posh is just in front of him. That's the closest fight we got, right? Well, sort of, because we got Proliver, Shalalancer, Sanef, and Psychomich in a train. Looks like Sanef wants to get past his teammates, but Shalalancer's shutting the door. So right now, Proliver's leading this train at the moment, Tim, of the 2 winning Psychomich, and that's pretty much it. This is a 4-car fight for 9th, Tim.
Yeah, it really is, and, Carr is sitting up there in the 8th position, just kind of, really having these guys form a line behind him. Carr seems like a driver that is very difficult to pass at times, and, we saw Energy Dan have some issues getting around him, and now it looks like the rest of these drivers are having issues.
Carr's really struggling these conditions. He's not really enjoying these conditions, Tim. Oh, can I just have a little reminder on Bannister, Tim, by the way? Remember the last wet conditions race we had? Bannister actually capitalized and got a podium. Do you remember that, Tim?
I vaguely do remember that, actually. I believe that was in France.
Was it France or was it... No, France was Fiat Torpedo.
Yes, that's right. So, Bannister, he's been on the podium a couple times this season, but I'm trying to
think what his last podium was.
I'm trying to think of when our last wet race was.
Answer the postcard, please. So,
so taking a look at Psychomich now.
At this fight. Yeah, we're looking at Psychomich in this big massive squabble. As all the drivers starting to separate now with their moderate gaps. This is our closest fight right now. Gaming Things really showing his stuff in the wet at the moment. 2.7 ahead now. Hooky is just trying to close in on Bannister. Psychomich is really closing in on Sanef. So this is looking a very good fight on the moment for the P9 position.
Yeah.
So right now, Gaming Things has got a 3-second lead. My goodness, he's flying, Tim.
Yeah, he really is. Gaming Things got a magnificent start. I believe that he started in second place, correct me if I'm wrong, and he was able to get underneath Racing Pods going to turn number 1, and then it was just, you know, onwards and upwards from there for Gaming Things. 3.5 second lead now over Racing Pods, and Snellweg is actually starting to get close to Racing Pods, so let's take a look at what he's doing.
Dan was a victim. Dan's a victim to the penalties.
So a 3-second time penalty for Energy Dan, not what he needed at all here today. So Energy Dan needs to finish ahead of Snellweg if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. Otherwise, he's going to have even more of a gap to overcome in the next 3 races. So, where he still will be in contention for the championship, even if they finish as they are, it'll just be more points that he has to deal with.
So right now, it's still very early stages, Tim, so we've still got a lot of racing to go.
Yeah,
as we start, Snellweg will still. It's going to be taking. It will be. If the race finished like this, then Snellweg will be very, very happy with this result, and Energy Dan will not be will be particularly pleased to be probably going down. Well, not going down, staying in 7. Look at Proliver made contact with Cara, and that's not what he needed. And so Shalon's having a little look at the inside as well. But Proliver's covering him off. Charles is he's getting a little bit impatient. He's having a look down the inside. There's got the outside line. Proliver stays where he is. Very good drive from Proliver. Charles goes to have a look down the inside. No, he thinks better of it, but Proliver went for a move on Cara. And is that Snellweg and Racing Pod fighting? No! Pod has spun, Tim! Oh no! Racing Pod has spun!
There you see him stuck in the grass. Racing Pod spinning, dropping all the way down to 7th now. Snellweg moves up into 2nd place. 4.3 seconds behind Gaming Things. Calvin racing into 3rd. Bannister into 4th. Racing Pod's trying to get a turn back around, but he's already dropping back even further.
What's happened to Cara? Cara is falling behind both Proliver and Shalalancer, so them two have been stuck as well. So Shalalancer's on for Proliver here.
And now it just looks like there's a big scuffle here for position. Cara in 9th, Sanath 10th, Psychomich 11th, and Racing Podge in 12th. Racing Podge just trying to work his way back up to the front now, but he's got a long climb to get up there. Sanath thinking about making a move on the inside of Cara, but thought better of it, just not close enough to make that move, and probably better to have backed out of that. He's actually a decent gap behind him, so really not going to be able to complete that move this time around either, but he's trying to get that slipstream as much as he can to try to get underneath him, and he's looking, but he just cannot get the move. So it's almost like he's trying to size Cara up and see if he can get Cara to maybe block him and throw off his racing line, but Cara knows that he's going to have to just keep his eyes ahead, and he knows that Sanath isn't really there to make a move at the moment, so he can just stay on his racing line and keep the advantage. But now Sanath goes a little bit wide there.
Too deep, but he's got the drive on the exit. Very lucky there for Sanath.
Psychomich saw an opportunity, tried to take it, but not able to do so. Psychomich going to try it again, going to ride on board with him and take a look at just what he's seeing here. And he can barely see a thing, honestly, with this wet conditions. And when you get behind the car, it's that much worse.
Move.
Yeah, Sanath went way too wide. Psychomich got around him. Now Psychomich working on Cara in that 9th position. Let's see what he can do here. A little bit of wheel spin off the exit of that corner. So Psychomich lost a little bit of time to McLaren that time. Going into turn number 1, we'll see what happens.
So Cara got a magnificent drive coming out of the turn. I have to say, Cara got away with that one. Very good drive there from him. Very, very good drive. So pretty good stuff. Then Hooky is still closing on Bannister just a tad, but not as much as we're seeing on Psychomich and Cara. So right now the gaps to the top 10, they're pretty evenly spread out. It's just this midfield fight we're looking at right now.
Yeah, that it is, and the midfield fight is really starting to heat up here because Psychomich, after getting by Sanath, now trying to chase down Cara. But if you go a little bit further ahead, there's really not a lot of battles, but a little bit further behind him, Fanny Lion is starting to get close to Gizlodian. So we'll see what they can do here. They're just about to enter the 2nd sector. Fanny Lion having a little bit of trouble through that corner, but Gizlodian did as well, going just a little bit wide. Normally this would be a DRS zone, but in the wet conditions, we're not going to have that. So they don't have the benefit of the downforce reduction system. So they cannot get past them or as easily as they would be normally.
And also, the drivers are being super cautious as well, to be fair. They don't want to take any risks, because if they brake too late, they'll go flying off. If they brake too... So they have to stick to that usual braking zone in the wet. They don't want to take any risks, which is fair enough. If they don't want to take any risks, they want to do these positions, so it's fair enough on the drivers, to be fair.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw it, Oliver, but Snellweg just ran the fastest lap of 1:49, and he is starting to catch Jamie.
He's a lot more closer to Cara than he used to be.
There you see the beautiful helicopter view of this battle as they head uphill into turn number 1. Sakic going to try to go on the inside, and he sends it. Does he keep it? No! Cara does the crossover, and he's able to get the move back, but Sakic even closer still than when he was when he made the move. He is close. He is there. He's trying to get around that orange McLaren. He's going to go around the outside, or at least try to through these S's. Not able to do it. Got to be careful to not get a time penalty there, but Cara goes off track.
Wow.
Cara.
Sakic is getting a little bit desperate.
Can you blame him, though? I mean, it just seems like he's been stalled in that one position for so long, around 11th and 10th place. It's almost like he feels like he is faster, or maybe he even knows that he's faster, but he has to get by Cara in order to show it. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that this time or not, but he is so very close, and he's going to look on the inside. He got a good exit, and he will clear him as long as Cara doesn't have some burst of speed, and Sakic has cleared him going into the next corner. But will Cara take the fight back to him? No, he does not. He's looking on the inside, but he's not able to do anything with it. Sakic having a nice line through there. Cara having to take the shorter way around, but also the more difficult line.
Look at Sanaf! I'm going to look there on Cara. But I think, Tim, that Cara is not really happy in these conditions, and also the conditions and the track. He's not very happy at the moment. Good lap there from Hookie, 1:49.8. Very good lap from Hookie.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Oliver, that Cara is really struggling and that he's probably not all that happy. And there goes Sanath around.
There you go. Too easy for Sanath. Way too easy.
Looks like Cara's actually diving into the pit, so I wonder what that's for.
I'm going to have a look at it now, see what's happening with Cara.
Meanwhile, I'll take a look here at Hookie.
Snellweg's teammate.
So
Let's have a look. Sorry, carry on.
So Hookie's about half a second behind Bannister.
My.
Oh, what's up?
Have you seen what Cara's tyres is fitted on?
Oh, he's went to the wet tires.
Okay.
All right, well, let's see if it works out for him. Cara, the only driver to gamble on the wet weather tires. So we'll see if it pays off for him or not. And he's going to have to remember that at the end of this race, we're going to have 5 laps, approximately anyway, of dry conditions. That doesn't necessarily mean the track will be dry for that entire time, but it won't be raining.
So what we got here at the moment, we've got Fanny Lion and Gizlodian still battling it out with each other. We've still got Hookie just putting some pressure on Bannister. I think what Andrew Dan needs is Snellweg to get a penalty himself. That's what he needs. And to be fair, I'm looking at the times now. Yeah, Cara has been to the wrong tyres. And look how far he's getting away. He's falling behind Racing Pod. He's already 5 seconds already. He's falling miles behind.
Yeah, really. Cara is. I don't think that the wet weather tires are really going to work out for him. He just seems like he's really dropping back. It's almost 6 seconds behind Racing Podge now. So it was a gamble. I guess he decided that he had to try something, but unfortunately that something did not work. And Hookie's off! Hookie's off the track!
Again! That's again he spun it off!
Oh my goodness! So Hookie, just out of turn number 1, spins off the track, doesn't hit anything, did a good job to save it, and he didn't lose a position either, but he lost track position, but not actual numerical position. So good job on Hookie there for retaining the 6th place.
He lost the position to his teammates.
Oh, did he? Okay, I thought he was already in 6th place, so my mistake. And now he's got a 3-second time penalty, so a bad day goes to worse for Hookie there in the 6th place. So Energy Dan, Hookie, both drivers having a time penalty.
What is going on with Hookie and his spinning, Tim? He just can't keep that car going straight forward him. I mean, it's weird, it's strange.
Apparently, the wet weather is really catching him off guard because, and I figured that maybe Hookie would be one who would be good in the wet conditions, but apparently he's struggling here at this racetrack. And honestly, Energy Dan doesn't seem to be having the best of days, but he's slowly working his way up, gaining on Bannister, 1.1 seconds behind.
You can tell that all the gaps are spread out a lot more now. You can tell there's not really that much close fights. This is technically our closest fight is between Dan and Bannister. So, lap 9 out of 28 of the American Grand Prix. To be fair, there's not that much excitement going on in this race, but you never know. There's still a long way to go before any excitement comes on. I think the drivers are just warming this up, I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that, is that they know that this is a long race, and it's really, there's no point in pushing it early on, especially in the wet conditions, because we have seen Hookie spin. We have seen Kara have issues. We have seen Admeister and Need for Speed spin. We've seen Racing Pod spin from 2nd place. So that just goes to show that no one is immune to these mistakes, and the wet conditions just make it that much worse. So I think that you are right about that they're mainly just trying to ride around and, and conserve and try to get used to the wet weather conditions and not push it too early, because you can't win a race if you can't even finish.
I don't know why Kara is not fitted on those. That's not pitted for those intermediate tyres. He's still out there on the wets. He's now 20 seconds behind Racing Pod. I don't understand. He needs to get into the pits and goes back onto his inters.
See, part of me thinks that maybe he knows something that we don't. But if that were the case, I feel like a few more drivers might be diving into the pits and gambling. And just as you say, I think he is going into the pits to change to the intermediate tires. So maybe he's decided that gamble's not going to work out for him. We'll see what tires he decides to go on. But take a look here at Energy Dan, who has closed the gap to Bannister now to 0.4 of a second. Going to ride on board with him and take a look and see what he can do. And let's watch his steering inputs, honestly. Let's see how smooth that he has to be.
Much better line there for Dan. Much more better line.
Yeah, much better line indeed. Now, Bannister did get a little bit of a better exit off the corner than Dan did, but I think Dan's just trying to size him up at the moment.
Fenelon's just going past his Lodium 4 for 11th, so that is Fenelon going into 11th place, but we're looking at Dan and Bannister. See how it goes down the main straight, Tim.
Yeah, and Bannister got a little bit loose out of that corner there, hanging on to it. Energy Dan had a stable exit, but not quite a fast exit. He's losing a little bit of time, or he was initially. Now as they go uphill, he is starting to gain just a little bit. But look at Energy Dan and watch, as I said, watch his steering inputs. He's having to be so smooth, and he's having to be so slow on the wheel to make sure that he doesn't, throw it into the corner too quickly and get it turned around. And, I pay attention a lot to these onboards, and we see a lot more aggression in dry conditions for obvious reasons. So it just goes to show the amount of finesse that you need in the wet conditions.
And you can tell, because smooth driving the wet is the apparent key in driving the wet too, because you throw it in, you go to spin. If you have a nice smooth steering input, nice and gentle with the car, make it work in the wet conditions, you've got to be really quick around here. So it's not about aggression, it's all about beautiful, smooth steering.
So Energy Dan not able to make the move on Bannister so far, but he's just slowly chomping away at the bit, trying to get close to that Racing Point machine.
So right now, we've got a yellow flag. Is that Racing Pod again? It is. Racing Pod is another moment going into the S's. So Racing Pod's having a real bad day. And this is a guy who started on pole as well.
And unfortunate for Racing Pod. And he spins again. Yet again he spins it into the wall. He's very lucky to have not had a DNF there. I thought for a moment that he was going to hit tire first, which would basically be his day done. So Racing Pod's just not having a good day at all, and he barely has a front wing at this point. He's definitely making a pit stop this time. That's the understatement of the year.
Yeah, pretty much so. Hookie's flying, Tim.
Yeah, I know, and Hookie, what I was thinking earlier before he spun that if it would be possible for him to have the pace to catch gamey things without a safety car, but I really don't think that that's going to be a factor. However, Hookie might very well be able to catch his teammate, maybe get by Bannister, I don't know, maybe even a podium for Hookie today if he can keep that pace and keep moving forward.
It depends on those penalties, isn't it? Because the other guys around them haven't got a penalty, so the AlphaTauri drivers, they need the other guys to have penalties.
Yeah, they really do, and honestly, the AlphaTauri drivers are going to have to pray for Snellweg to have a bad race as well, because he's running in second place at the moment. He's 4.5 seconds behind Gamey Things, so he's not really in contention for a win, at least not at this point with that big of a gap. However, the podium is where he needs to be, and as we've said all season long, as we've been saying for the past few races, is really all he has to do is be consistent, and he can win this championship. While Energy Dan is the one who's really having to play offense and, you know, and go hard and push to try to overcome that deficit.
So that is Racing Pod retiring in the pits. Unlucky therefore for Racing Pod. Energy Dan got a bit messy, got out of the out of that little acute angle corner that you said, Tim. So Energy Dan's got a bit messy. So So Hookie is now closed up behind Dan. So what are the AlphaTauri's going to do? Are they going to switch around now? Because Hookie looks like he's the faster driver. Dan's coming into the pit, so he's going to release Hookie, Tim.
All right, so let's see what tires Energy Dan decides to take as he dives down into the pits. Of course, as you said, Hookie going past him now. And let's see if Energy Dan is able to serve his time penalty here in the pits. I don't believe he's going to be able to do so. No, he will not. So that's going to be added on to his race time at the end. And he goes on intermediate, so that was pretty much expected. And he's had a decent pit stop so far as he gets out just behind. Is that the Alfa Romeo of Need for Speed? Yes, it is. So Need for Speed running there in 14th. Looks like he is a lap down. And Energy Dan still running in 6th, it looks like. So he didn't really lose a lot of time.
Sanaf has got... So Psychomich is in as well. So Sanaf has gone up to 9th. So, too bad in the... It's not one of the most exciting races, but it's a very good, you know, consistent one, if you want to say the least. It's a very consistent Grand Prix at the moment, isn't it?
It's a strategic race and a calculating race. And if you're gaming things, it's probably a race where you're sweating every single lap, just hoping that you're able to keep the car facing forward and keep the gap back as much as you can. But it is very much a calculating race. You know, these drivers going into it, they had to decide wet weather tires or intermediate tires. Obviously, they all chose the intermediate tires, which was the correct decision as we see now. But now they have to really calculate how they're going to get into the corners, because they are used, at least going into this race, they were used to the dry conditions. They had, you know, 2, 3, 4.
The leader's coming in. The leader's coming in now.
So let's take a look at Gamey Things as he dives down into the pits. Of course, expected that he will be on the intermediate tires, as will Snellweg. So let's see if maybe the undercut for Hookie and Energy Dan work to gain them time. I don't believe that they're going to be able to pass Snellweg or Gamey Things, but maybe they'll get just a little bit closer. Hookie was able to get past them.
So what about Dan? Gaming Things is out there. What about Snellweg? Nope, Dan's not. Nope, and Dan is not going to be passing him. Passing into, but he will be a little bit more closer to Bannister. Oh, it's got Bannister! What a move from the AlphaTauri, Sin! They got Dan has got Bannister. Well played.
So good job there from Energy Dan, moving up a position, doing the undercut on him. That was, and again, like I said, a calculating race.
Very well calculated, well spotted there, Tim. Very well played.
And you know, the undercut is something that I am starting to come around to, because normally my preferred strategy has always been, you know, the overcut. Try to stay out a little bit longer. But, you know, I'm starting to realize that, you know, maybe that's not that's not the best. Now, sometimes the overcut will work. It just depends on if you have the pace on your worn tires. But the reason the undercut is so effective is because you're pitting for brand new tires, and you're just so much faster on those fresh set of tires than you would be on the worn tires, that you're able to gain so much ground on the person that would normally be ahead of you. And actually, someone in the chat earlier during qualifying actually said that tires are king here. So that makes a lot of sense that Energy Dan was able to undercut Bannister and get ahead of him. And now Bannister's probably kicking himself and thinking, man, I want to get back by Energy Dan, and he's going to have to, you know, really push and be on the offensive, because I think Energy Dan's starting to pull away now.
Calvin's into the pits now, so he's doing what you're doing. He's going for the overcut, but I don't think it's going to work, because here comes Gaming Feast towards the last corner and Snellweg, so don't think that's going to work out for him.
Riding on board with Gaming Things, we'll see just what happens. Calvin, Hookie, of course, both drivers in the pits, as you said. Gaming Things passes Hookie and Calvin. Gaming Things goes back into first, but where does Calvin come out? Snellweg in second. Calvin, will he retain the third position? Yes, he does. And I think he actually did lose ground to Snellweg.
He did, because it was around 4 seconds, and yeah, Bannister's got Hookie, so Hookie's got to be behind Bannister. Energy Dan's ahead of Bannister, so Energy Dan's got to gain up 2 positions, Tim. Very well played from him.
Yeah, good job there on Energy Dan's part. So apparently he knew what he was doing when he pitted just a little bit early there, and that's one thing that we haven't really talked about, is how long these tires can really last on the car. So we're starting to see about 12 to 14 laps is when the drivers decide to pit. Sanath is actually the only driver who has not pit yet in this race. Sanath and Fanny Lyon, the only drivers who have not pitted in this race. Both drivers having 14 laps on those tires thus far. So I expect to see them dive down to the pits this lap or the next. So I'd say a maximum of 15 on the intermediate tires.
So right now, Snellweg is now 2.3 now behind Gaming Figs 2.2. Yeah, like I said, Tim, the gap has definitely come down between those two drivers. And to be fair, Snellweg is keeping the car between those white lines, making the car work, keeping it consistent, as Hookie is all over Bannister right now. We've finally got a little fight, Tim.
So we'll ride on board with Hookie and take a look at it. It's much like shades of Energy Dan and Bannister about 5 laps ago, but now the roles are reversed where it's Hookie and Bannister. But still an AlphaTauri chasing the Racing Point machine, and Bannister is another one of those drivers, much like Gaming Things, who is usually very quiet during the race, doesn't do a whole lot to really make you say, oh, look at that. But then at the very end, he's usually there. And as we were saying, Bannister scored a few podiums this season in the GP4 series. So he's a driver that's able to be consistent but very quiet about it.
Jeez, to be fair, Hookie, massive lockup. Big lockup there from Hookie. That's going to hurt his tyres a bit, but he got the car slowed down, which is fair enough to him. But look at Snellweg, 1.8 behind now. He's really putting the pressure down on Gaming Things. So this is going to be very interesting to see how that all plans out. We're going towards the final. We think we've just gone halfway, I think, Tim, in this race, I think.
Just about, yeah, or actually we have actually surpassed the halfway point. So lap 16 of 28 here, so just about 13 laps remaining in the American Grand Prix, or United States Grand Prix, actually.
Hookie, another double lockup right there. It's not being Hookie is getting really, really frustrated in that car, trying to get past Bannister. He's trying to get past him to 5th, but it doesn't look like he's helping right now.
Hookie gaining very much on Bannister. Here in just a moment, I want to tune in to see Snellweg, but first we're going to have to stay on this battle. But Snellweg did just set a fastest lap, and someone in the chat's actually wondering if we're going to see Snellweg maybe make a push on Gaming Things, and I think that we are going to see that, but maybe not at the moment. Maybe give it another lap or two. Snellweg's probably just trying to, see where Gaming Things is weak. That's assuming he can see him. That's a 1.7 second gap. He might not have the best view of him, so we'll actually take a look at Snellweg now, right on board with him. And
Charlans is side by side. Charlans side by side with Fanny Line, going into the left-hander. Charlans has finally got past Fanny Line. Fanny Line's disconnected. Charlans is through, going into 9th place. So Charlans is going to get 2 points, Tim.
Yeah, so Shadowlancer trying everything he can to get these points here today, running in the 9th position, so a good show from him, and then he spins! Does he save it, though? Yes, he does! A good save there, but Fading Lion does get back by him, but now Shadowlancer gets back by the Red Bull yet again, so he's going to have to be careful. He cannot afford any more mistakes like that.
Very good save there from Shadow. Very good save. Sanaf went 16 laps on the intermediates, and that's incredible for Sanaf, Tim, but to be fair play to him.
Yeah, it really is, and it looks like he's in 9th place, but he's going to, he's going to be in 9th.
Oh, Bannister went too deep! Bannister went too deep! Hookie's going to be right behind him now, Tim.
So we got a battle between Shadowlancer, Sanith, and Hookie and Bannister. Not sure which one we even need to look at, but Hookie's going to try to make a move on Bannister this time around, using that slipstream. Going to try to go underneath him, but does he make the move stick? No, he does not. He actually backed out of it. So Bannister going to hold on to 5th, Hookie in 6th.
Whew. My goodness me. Hookie's trying, isn't he? Hookie is trying to get into that 5th place position, but the problem is he's putting the brakes on too hard on the intermediates. He's locking up every time. He's got to be gentle on those brakes, Tim. If he's gentle on the brakes, he's looking after the tyres. And when he's looking after the tyres, he could be a bit more of a faster car. But right now he's really pushing hard, and he's been pushing on that brake pedal a bit too hard, locking up his front tyres.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've noticed from Hookie all season long is that he locks up his tires going into the corner, and yet somehow it seems to work for him. I mean, this is a driver who has won a couple races this season, and he has had some podiums, and he is in 4th in the driver's standing. So apparently somehow it's working for him, and that defies all odds if you ask me, because the more you lock up, the more tire wear you're suffering on whatever tire just had to skid across the racing surface. And now Bannister picked up a 3-second time penalty.
That's good news down for Tory drivers, but not when it comes to Snellweg. Snellweg is having a fine race, and now needs Snellweg to get a penalty. But right now, as you all know, Snellweg is not an easy driver to get penalties, so Snellweg is doing a very good job on not getting a penalty. So Snellweg very consistent so far, and it's getting ever a little bit more closer to Gaming Things, but Gaming Things is still being consistent, which is fair enough to him.
So we'll take a look at Snellweg now. He has started to really eat away at that gap. 1.2 seconds separating them now. Of course, catching Gaming Things is one thing. Getting around him is a different story entirely. You get locked into that dirty air, and I'd say that it's even worse when it comes to the wet conditions.
So you can say he's trying really hard. He's trying hard, but he's again being very, very smooth in his steering, with his position of the car. He's doing everything he can to keep that, pretty much get the victory. He's doing what he needs to do. And Gaming, look at him. He's actually going onto the water to cool down his tyres. So, are we starting to see that dry line starting to form up now?
Maybe so. I mean, it is still raining. Riding on board with Snellweg, you can obviously the rain coming down. But that is one thing that actually I neglected to even think about, and I forgot entirely about the idea of having to cool down your tires. We saw it a lot in the Turkish Grand Prix, where Lewis Hamilton won, and the drivers during that race were having to find the wet spots on the racetrack to cool down their tires. So, Snellweg and Gaming Things might have to start making those decisions.
6 seconds, and so it's Hookie.
And now Hookie has gotten by Bannister, and did Hookie just spin? Yes, he did. He's off the track again, and now he spins once more. So now he's stopped, and he's going to have to be careful to not get disqualified here for facing the wrong way. He is able to continue, but look at that, Oliver. He does not have a right end plate on his front wing.
Oh, man, it's just another... Oh, Need for Speed been disqualified for receiving too many penalties, and Need for Speed is out.
So unfortunate there for Need for Speed as well. We have now seen 2 drivers disqualified, 1 DNF, and who knows how many actually make spins. Now let's look at Snellweg here, who's getting very close to Gaming Things. 0.8 of a second separating Gaming Things and Snellweg now. They're in the 3rd sector, lap 19 of 28. It's getting down to the wire. It is just about crunch time for Snellweg. He's going to have to start thinking about making his move soon. He's got a little bit of time, but not a lot.
So Snellweg is just putting the pressure on Gaming Things. Now look again, Tim. Gaming Things again going onto the water side, Tim.
And that's really a very interesting decision from Gaming Things, but it seems to actually be working for him just a little bit. It looked like he was able to gain maybe just a little bit of speed. The thing that I'm thinking, though, is when he has to come back over to the outside of the track to get into the racing line, is he scrubbing off more speed than he's gaining?
He must. Oh, and that's the penalty we're looking for. Snellweg has got a penalty, Tim, but Energy Dan's got 6 seconds. Snellweg's got 3. So Snellweg needs another one, Tim.
And that has, Snellweg is kicking himself in the cockpit of that car now. He has ran such a good race up to this point, and now he suffered a time penalty. So even if he gets by Gaming Things, the win is still not guaranteed unless he gets out to a significant gap ahead of him. And it looks like that might have even destroyed his confidence just a little bit. He's actually dropping back. He's not quite as close to Gaming Things as he was, so maybe he's trying to, back off and be a little bit more cautious to avoid any more time penalties.
So 5/10 of a second between the two cars. Snellweg and Gaming Things. Gaming Things doing very, very well, Tim, to keep that Red Bull between the lines of the track and actually being very, very consistent. You can all tell the drivers are now going to the wet side of the track, Tim, just to cool down their engines because they know the dry period is coming very soon. As when I say that, the rain has stopped, Tim. It stopped raining.
That it has, and we were told that the last 5 laps they're going to be dry conditions, so the rain has stopped a little bit earlier than I think we anticipated. So we'll see if anyone decides to go on the soft tires. I would imagine that Gaming Things is probably going to stay out ahead because with it stopped raining, I believe it stopped raining just about a lap ago, so it's going to be about 2 or 3 laps at least until I think the track is going to get dry enough to really justify going on to the soft tires.
And speaking of which, from the soft tires, who is going to blink first, Tim? That's the question.
And Gaming Things spins! Gaming Things spins and he's in the wall! So Gaming Things drop it down to second now!
Oh my! Bannister's gone to the softs already! Bannister's gone to the softs already! That's a big gamble, and so does Hooky!
Let's see if it works out for him. Yeah, they are not going to let anything stop them. Bannister and Hooky gonna go for broke here and take the risk. Gaming Things, of course, just gonna have to try to survive. He's got to remember that Snellweg has 3 seconds worth of time penalties, so if he can stay within 3 seconds of him and not pick up any time penalties, he will still be able to win this race.
Good point. I'm watching Bannister right now. I'm looking at his car at the moment and see how it's getting on. Oh!
And look at this, Calvin
safety
racing.
Safety car!
A safety
Hookie's
car!
Out again! Hookie's out again, Tim!
So the soft tire is apparently not working for Hooky. Did you see what happened, Oliver?
I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Where is Hooky? I'm trying to find out where he is.
He's DNF'd.
Oh, Dad's got a drive-through! Dad's got a drive-through! For exceeding the Delta time!
Oh my goodness, that is not what Energy Dan needed at all. And a drive-through penalty you have to serve under green flag conditions. So Energy Dan pitting now probably for dry tire conditions, but he's still going to have to serve that drive-through penalty.
Oh man, it's... And all the things you can have in this championship fight as well, it's unreal.
So Snellweg,
so what about
Calvin.
Bannister then?
Bannister stayed out on track, but he's not really going to gain any positions because of the safety car.
So Dan's gone to the softs. He'll be going way down the order in that with that drive-through penalty. Snellweg is going to be. It's got to take this lead now to more than 3 seconds over Gaming Things. Are we going to finally see Calvin Racing to get a podium? Imagine, Tim, are we finally going to see it? It's been a jinx. We've been jinxing him, I know that, but I think this is the proper chance for Calvin Racing or Stupid Clavin to actually get a podium.
And I think that you are right about that, that Calvin Racing running a good race so far, and with Energy Dan going to have to serve that drive-through penalty, that'll give him just a little bit more of a gap back to Bannister. So Calvin, all he's got to really do is keep his nose clean and keep the pace, and he'll be able to get a podium. But you know that he is not just thinking about a podium right now. With a safety car in the final stages of this race, the only thing on the top 3 drivers' mind is how to win this race.
So if Gaming Things and Calvin Racing can stay within 3 seconds of our championship leader Snellweg, that will be Gaming Things to the win, Calvin in 3rd and Bannister 4th. Well, I think 3rd, I believe. I don't know. We have to wait and see.
So I anticipate the safety car will probably come in at about lap 23 or 24. So that'll give us about 4 to 5 laps or so of green flag racing. That'll give Snellweg enough time to try to overcome his time penalty. That'll give Gamey Things enough time to try to get some redemption. It'll give Calvin enough time to try to push and get up to 1st. And let's not forget about Bannister. He's going to be restarting in 4th once Energy Dance serves that drive-through penalty. So really, we're going to have a lot of drivers in contention for this win. This could get messy.
Can't wait for it. So we're in for fireworks, Tim. I tell you that now, we're in for fireworks for this end of this race. We're in for a very good ending.
You know, the 4th of July was always my favorite holiday, so I love me some fireworks. I am ready to see them.
So what's the guys in the chat be thinking? What are the guys in the chat thinking for our top 3?
And look at this. Someone actually did kind of predict what would happen with Hookie in so many words. He said Bannister and Hookie first to blink could make or break their time. Well, it broke Hookie's time, but it might just make Bannister's time.
So with that result, now Hookie is definitely Elvis. Well, can you say mathematically, is that definitely it for Hookie?
I would imagine so, because Snellweg, if he wins this race, that's 25 points. That's more than a 100-point gap from Snellweg to Hookie. So now that Hookie is DNF'd, he is officially out of this championship hunt.
So now, lap 23. Safety car should be coming at the end of this lap. Just loading and Fanny Lion. They're going through the long right hand. They're going into the final 2 left-hand corners. So we're just waiting on them two. Kara's coming through turn 1. Shadow Lancer is behind Sanaf, who's about to join this train. It's going to be very exciting to see what happens. It's going to be really, really exciting to see how it all plans out. Top three, chat. We'd like to hear from you. Who's going to be your top 3 at the end of this race?
At this point, are we going to even be able to see the end of this race? I mean, this safety car just seems like it's dragging on forever, and I know it's not. There's a set time that it stays out on the track. It's just a matter of, wow, I want this to happen now.
Just because we're waiting on Kara, just loading and Fanny Line. That's what we're waiting for.
So I think that the safety car might be staying out for 1 additional lap, which means diving in on lap 24. That'll give us 4 laps of green flag racing once they cross the line under the green flag conditions.
You gotta feel bad for Energy Dan, don't you? They're both AlphaTauri drivers. They're trying their hardest, but Energy Dan getting the drive-through, Hookie retiring. It's been a bad day in the office for AlphaTauri, to be fair, isn't it, Tim?
Yeah, and honestly, with Energy Dan getting this drive-through, he might even drop down out of the points, and him not scoring points will be a disaster to his championship hopes. He won't be out of it, but he's going to have to hope for Snellweg to have a bad race for the next 3 races. And I'm just not sure if that's going to be able to happen or not.
So we got... what we got next? Who's our final 3 races? We got Mexico. We got... trying to think now. Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. That's our final 3 races.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the Drivers' Championship. But one thing that we're not going to have to wait too long to see is how this race plays out. Just a quick update. Snellweg Gaming thinks Calvin Racing. Energy Dan, remember, has that drive-through penalty. Bannister, Proliver, Sandeth, Shadowlancer, Psychomich, Kara, your top 10 at the moment. And actually a really good rebound there from Kara, who decided to go on the wet weather tires early on in this race, realized it didn't work, had to pit for the intermediates, and now he's back in the points.
Very good point. Did not even notice that. Very good point there.
And
so all the drivers are bunched up. We're about to go green at the end of this lap, Tim.
And I can't wait for it. And let's not forget, Gislovny and Fanning Line, back there in 11th and 12th, they can still get points as well. So really, anything can happen.
True. Very, very true indeed. So Dan has got a service drive-through. Calvin is on for a possible race victory. Gabriel thinks on for a race victory. Bannister could look for a podium. Proliver could look for a podium. And here we go, Tim. Safety car at the end of this lap. 4 laps of fireworks is about to begin.
On board with Snellweg, as you see that safety car getting smaller and smaller. Snellweg, of course, being the control car.
Or the pace car in American.
Yep, exactly. Honestly, I'm proud of myself. I have not called the safety car the pace car at all this season, I don't think.
True point. Very true point.
Now, if I did, it technically wouldn't be wrong.
True. Very good point. So Dan will go into the pits any moment.
And there he goes.
And there he goes. He's diving in. Oh,
as
man.
we are
you just
now
gotta feel bad for him.
Green, and Snellweg really diving down low. But Snellweg getting a good start. Gamey things still in second. Calvin Racing there in third, just trying to hang on to that podium spot. And we got a 2-wide battle, at least we did for a moment, for fourth place between Bannister and Proliver. It's kind of calmed down a little bit now. Bannister following.
Look at it, Shadowlancer, Psychomich. Very close there for Shadowlancer to take Psychomich, but not as much just yet. Now under dry conditions, now these drivers can really attack the circuit, Tim.
Yeah, and look at Psychomich just trying to hang on while Shadowlancer behind him. He's kind of got a little bit of a luxury.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely.
But now Psychomich actually gaining on the other Williams, it looks like, of Sanneth there. And wow, look at that. That was super fast. DRS not active yet, and I don't think it's going to be, except for maybe the final lap. And now Energy has another 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, and he is in 12th place out of the points. That could end his championship hopes. He will still mathematically be in it, but will he be able to overcome the gap in the next 3 races?
It's going to be an almighty task now for Energy to close in on Snellweg. It's going to be an almighty task to take that, what's supposed to be a big championship fight. It's been a very, very, very bad day for AlphaTauri, but it's a very, very good day for Snellweg. But we must remember that Snellweg's got that 3-second penalty on him. He's got to gain 3 seconds in the next few laps, which is very difficult to do.
And I'm not so sure if he's going to be able to do it, so we might be talking to gamey things here. I wonder if Calvin knows that Snellweg has a penalty.
Oh, Calvin's going down the inside of Shadowlancer. Oh, he's in the side of Psychomich. Calvin's in the side of Psychomich's car.
So Psychomich into 7th, Shadowlancer 8th, Kara down to 9th now.
Whew. So Gaming Things is losing a second. Oh, Dan is not a happy bunny, you can tell, Tim.
Another 3-second time penalty for Energy Dan. At this point, it's just misery for him.
When it rains, it pours.
That it does. And it's unfortunate for Energy Dan. And you know, the championship is not over. It's not over.
No, of course not.
It just got a lot more difficult for him. But fair play to Snellweg. He has done such an amazing job this race. He has kept his nose clean. Only 1 time penalty, as far as I know, the 3-second time penalty for cutting the corner. So Snellweg has done a magnificent job when he had to, in order to get himself in the position to be leading this race. And even if he may not be able to win it, it looks like a podium might be in the works.
Indeed so. Right. Free to look at Gaming Things. He's not letting go of Snellweg, isn't he, Tim?
No, he's not. Not at all. Let's ride on board with Gamey Things. Lap 27 to 28, just 2 laps to go in the United States Grand Prix. For the Speed Force Racing GP4 Series, Snellweg, your points leader, also your race leader, but with a 3-second time penalty, Gamey Things is trying to hunt him down.
This is going to be interesting to see. Car is retired in the pits.
So what happened to Carr to make him retire? I thought he was running in the points.
He was running the points, then he decided to retire. Don't know why.
I would say that helps Energy Dan, but there's too big of a gap for him to be able to catch Fanny Lion. So Energy Dan... Oh, no. But he did not ignore the drive-through penalty.
He took the penalty. That is strange.
Okay, so that is absolutely wrong. We've actually been told that Admeister might have been a victim of a glitch, and I think Energy Dan might have been as well.
Thank you, Co-Masters, again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so it looks like at least 2 drivers being a victim of glitches here and ruining their race. Very unfortunate for them, but let's take a look at Gamey Things. Well, actually, we have been taking a look at Gamey Things, but let's continue to take a look at Gamey Things as he tries to chase down that McLaren. But he doesn't really seem to be pushing too hard. I think he does know that he can very well win this race. He probably has been on the radio with his engineer trying to see what the time penalty is for Snellweg. And Calvin Racing is really not putting much of a challenge to Gamey Things. He just cannot quite close that gap. So Gamey Things has...
I think Calvin Racing's been smart, Tim. I think he knows that Snellweg's got a penalty. And with him getting a penalty and Bannister getting a penalty, he's just been smart, Tim. I think he's just conserving at the moment to keep his podium safe.
Yeah, and that is probably the best thing for him to do at the moment, is to conserve, because it doesn't look like he's going to be fast enough to pass Gamey Things. If he was able to pass Gamey Things, he would have this win, but it just does not look like that's going to happen. So Gamey Things, all he's got to do is keep his nose clean. But just as I say that, look at that! Calvin Racing getting so very close to Gamey Things. Is DRS active? If DRS is active, Calvin could very well get by him on this straightaway.
Can he? This is for the lead, Tim. I know Snellweg's leading, but this is for the lead. Is DRS activated? It is! DRS is activated! Here we go, Tim!
So Calvin trying to get the slipstream. Gamey Things diving down low. Calvin's going to try to go on the outside of Gamey Things. Will he be able to make it stick? He tries to go by him. Will he clear him? It's side by side. Red Bull and Haas. Calvin has moved up into second place. Calvin Racing is in second. Gamey Things in third. This is the battle for the lead. Snellweg in the McLaren has a 3-second time penalty. It's not going to be enough for him to get by him. Now it's up. And Calvin spins. Calvin is spun. He holds on to it, though. Calvin holds on. He is in fourth. He's going to have to get by Bannister if he wants that podium. Bannister might be on board for a podium as well. Snellweg is going to cross the line in first, but with a 1.9 second gap back to Gamey Things, it will not be enough, and Gamey Things will win the United States Grand Prix. Bannister will come in not. Calvin in third, Snellweg in second, Bannister in fifth, Proliver in fourth. The time penalties absolutely shaking the standings up, but there is your winner, the Red Bull of Gamey Things.
Calvin Racing has done it, Tim! His first ever podium in GP4! Congratulations to Calvin Racing!
That
wow
was the best last lap we could have had.
Shadowlancer, driver of the day. Fair play to him for the game. Well done to him.
So, Shadowlancer getting driver of the day. Calvin getting third place, Snellweg getting second place, and I'm honestly surprised he was able to do that. I did not think he was going to be able to get that podium, but he did, and Bannister apparently had more time penalties than what I expected, so Bannister dropping back as well to fifth place, but still fair play to him. And of course, Gamey Things, who had just been fast all day, really deserved that win.
Well done to him.
So your official finishing order for the GP4 Series Speed Force Racing League United States Grand Prix is Gamey Things, winning the race in first place in that Red Bull, the McLaren of Snellweg in second, increasing his championship lead. Third place is Calvin Racing in the Haas, Proliver in fourth in the Mercedes, Racing Point Machine of Bannister in fifth, Saneth in sixth, seventh is Shadowlancer, eighth Psychomich, ninth Gislodian, Fanny Lion in 10th, Kara in 11th, 12th is Hookie, 13th Need for Speed, Racing Podge in 14th, 15th Admeister, and Energy Dan in 16th. Of course, Energy Dan and Need for Speed, as well as Admeister, suffering a DSQ, and Racing Podge, Hookie, Kara facing a DNF. So very unfortunate for them. The rain really caught a lot of these drivers off guard. Time penalties caught them off guard. But in the end, it is the Red Bull and Gamey Things who prevail.
Right, time to do my usual job of getting them in.
So in just a moment, we will talk to the top 3 drivers.
Okay, that's Gamey Things. We'll just check on that actually. Okay, that's Gamey Things added.
So while Oliver does that, what did you think of that race? To all the viewers, that was an incredible last lap. Definitely no shortage of action there. And actually, a little bit of an update on Energy Dan. Apparently, because he entered the pits before the green flag caused the penalty to not register. So what he had to have done is he would have had to stay out for another lap and then pit. And I feel like in real life Formula 1, that's not the case, because when Lewis Hamilton had a drive-through penalty at Monza, I think that he was able to take it as soon as the safety car pulled in. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, because it has been a while.
I think that's bogus in my opinion. There we go, and that's Calvin Racing in. There we go.
So we'll just give them a minute for everyone to file on in here. So Oliver, what did you think of the race?
It's a cool first half, controversial towards the end, and I would say very, very fireworks at the final end. And here they are. The podium winners are here. Here they are.
All right, guys, so before we start the interviews, just want to make sure that you allow your voices to be shared. If you don't know how to do that, go over to Party Settings, click Always Allow, and let me know when you're ready.
Whew. Ready.
All right, so first thing is first, want to talk to the third place runner of Calvin Racing. Calvin, you got your first podium here today at the United States Grand Prix in a Haas. So their home race, you got a podium. It was almost a win, and I know you're disappointed, but first off, congratulations on the podium. Just tell us about that last lap and what happened when you got just a little bit too sideways there at the end.
Oh, it was absolute chaos there. It was really, really sort of a last-ditch attempt. Been doing that move a bit in practice and managing to pull it off a few times, so but I'll give it one last go after I saw a game. You have a little bit of an issue and slowed down quite a bit. But yeah, when I got past, I thought, oh, all I've got to do is keep it tidy, and then a couple corners later, the back end has just slipped out a bit, but I'm glad it didn't spin all around like it did in Japan. It cost me a full podium, but I'm glad it was done today. Yeah, I guess it kind of feels good being with Haas, so kind of a home race there, but
you made one happy Tim happy for Haas, I'll tell you now.
Now if the real Haas could get a podium.
Oh, I don't think that's very realistic at the minute.
Not at the moment.
It'd be great, but a couple more years again, might try and get a better car for once. That was really good. I'm claiming the Classic Series as first one, so I got the monkey off the back there, and it sort of eased everything a bit today.
So Calvin, how was the car and how was the race in general? Talk us through your race then, buddy.
Well, I was expecting heavier rain because on the conditions it said it was very wet. very hard rain for the whole of it from what I first looked at, but I'm guessing it changed by the time I did a quali, and decided to risk it, go for a wet strategy in qualifying, hope for a decent time and that it would last well in the race, and did manage to keep the pace up at the end. So, you know, I'm quite happy with it. It was such a difficult race, to be honest. It was a bit, for a while, just sort of stuck in no man's land for most of it, with about a 4-second gap either side, but keeping it clean, no penalties, really came in handy, and as I said there, that move at the last lap nearly managed to get me a win all in one go, but unfortunately not meant to be. And try and get one in before the season ends, and hopefully push for a lot more next season.
Well, congratulations. Oh, go ahead, Oliver.
I've got one more question. For the next 3 races coming up, how are you feeling going into the next 3?
Pretty confident. I found a lot of pace in the last couple of weeks. I'm just hoping to try and sort of show a bit of an insight of what I could potentially do for next season. This season, points-wise, there's not really that much point. I only joined in France, so I'm hoping to at least try and get into top 10, but I'm pretty confident going into the next 3 tracks. I'm pretty good around them, so hopeful to be up challenging again, to be back here again. Hopefully with a win on one of them, though, or all of them, if that'd be nice.
Well, congratulations on your podium, Calvin, and I'm sure it feels good. Even if you wanted to be on the top spot, you're still on the podium, and that's what matters.
I was never expecting the win. Never expecting it, and then I was in grasp of it for one brief moment. And
you're very close, very close.
Oh well.
So now let's talk to Snellweg. Snellweg, I'm not sure if you're aware at this point, but Energy Dan was actually disqualified for ignoring a drive-through penalty, so he did not score any points today. So you are effectively a little more than a race ahead in the point standings. Did you expect this kind of a result going into this race? Because obviously it was dry qualifying, but then it was wet conditions for most of the race. So what did you expect? Did you exceed expectations? And overall, how was your race?
Yeah, well, first off, my race was awful. Like, I didn't do one on-track overtake. Only the first lap, and like in the pit stops, I overtook people. So yeah, it was pretty boring. But yeah, to come out of the USA with like 40 points lead, I think, over Dan, yeah, it's a massive, a lot of pressure comes falling off my back. So yeah, it's just a big relief. Now I have a bit of a cushion to him for the upcoming 3 races.
I mean, with the results now, Snellweg, like you said, just the monkey off your back now, and I think all you have to do is just be consistent, and you probably win the championship probably within 2 weeks.
Yeah, I hope so. Like, yeah, I don't want to jinx it. Like, yeah, to finish first, you first have to finish. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to celebrate too early. We have seen that go wrong many times in the past. So I'm just, yeah, like you say, going to keep it consistent and hopefully wrap it up soon.
And in terms of Mexico coming up, are you pretty confident going into Mexico?
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's a fun track.
Driver's track then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well done, buddy.
Yeah, congratulations to Snellweg. Now, before we interview our winner, Oliver, I want you to answer a question in the chat. Someone is actually asking, how can they join? I assume they're asking, how can they join the league?
Oh, Lewis13, welcome to Speedforce Racing. I suppose you're following us, so what you need to do is, you need to message one of our admin teams, either Energy Dan or Arona SFR Sonic Hawk. They'll get in touch you to join our Discord, and our admin team will be with you. They'll put you in for a trial and see how your pace is, and you'll be sent into either one of our divisions, GP3, 4, 3, 2, or 1. Our number 1 is our fastest division, 2 is our second fastest, 3rd is our third fastest, and Division 4 is our slow fastest. So once you get into our Discord, one of our guys will be with you, and yeah, and then you can enjoy join us in Speed Force Racing, my friend.
So we might just be able to have a new driver in the league here shortly. And also, we do have a Classic Series that takes place on Friday. So I'm not sure if that is full yet or not. I don't believe so. We only had 13 drivers the last time. So you might also be able to get in on that. And that is not based off of pace. That's just whoever wants to run. Obviously, because they let me in it. So now we're going to
Gamey things.
Yes, gamey things. You have won the race. I am sure you are absolutely jumping for joy. You led most of the race. There's really not a whole lot to talk about, but just walk us through your race. Walk us through that last lap, especially with Calvin Racing. And, you know, did you think that you lost it when he got by you? And then when he spun, did you get a little excited?
Well, I'll definitely say one thing. Obviously, last week when I was in the podiums, yeah, I said that me and America don't get along with each other, but so I've bit my words massively there, haven't I?
Yes, you have.
Yeah. Anyway, well, for my race, obviously we saw in qualifying that it was going to be a wet race primarily, so I decided to run qualifying in a wet setup. Kind of, I did change my wet setups and wings to 4.9, and then for the race for up to 5.9 for the wings to help a little bit of stability in the wet. But yeah, as for the start, I got getting the lead at the beginning, and just tried to drive off them at the best I could, and obviously when it was getting to the latter end, just towards like the end of the rain stint, I'd made that mistake, got that snail egg past me. It's like, oh god, he's gonna win now, isn't he? Then the safety car came out, and like, okay, saving grace. As soon as we go, because we'll be on drives, which we were, I'm just going to try and stay with him as best as I can, and did that enough. And that last lap, I will admit, I made a mistake with my ERS. I pretty much, on that long straight for when Calvin overtook me, I was in that entire straight with no ERS on, so I couldn't defend too well. Tried to, but he overtook me, and yeah, I thought, yeah, he's got it. He's got his first win, and when he span shortly after, obviously there was a bit of me just like this, yes, but honestly I was also a little bit sad for it. Could have been his first race, but it's just, but that's how racing is. Sometimes it's with you, sometimes it's just unfortunate, and obviously I've only won because of that penalty on snags, but hey, a win's a woman win.
Can I just ask, Gaming Figs, your consistency recently has been extremely perfect. Are you really happy with your current form right now?
No, I'm completely sad about it. Of course, I'm alright with it. Yeah, I'm completely happy with it. Every time I've been able to properly race, apart from issues I've been having, I've gone podium, and obviously 2 wins this season now in Baku, and now here, which before this season, like I said, I've been here season 1 and no victories. Now also in this season I'm getting 2 now, so keep up the pace. It's a shame I joined Division 4 a little bit late, because I probably would have been challenging Stereo for the top at this point, but hey, this pretty much gives me good hopes for next season, maybe.
See, I was talking about August Runnels and talk to you about next season. Now, when you going to get extreme good form, you look very happy in the Red Bull. Do you like to stay with the Red Bull team next year, and then you can try and push on for the championship, or you're looking for a different car to drive?
Well, all the cars are set to equal anyway, so it doesn't really matter what car I'm driving, but we'll see. I do like the Red Bull, but like I said, all the cars are equal, so.
But like you say, yeah, you keep feel equal, but if you are with a team that in a car you're very comfortable with, yeah, it sounds like a good partnership. You can speak to Dan and Hooky with the AlphaTauri. Are you very happy in the Red Bull car? You've been very comfortable in that?
Yeah, I'm definitely living to the reputation of the actual guy who sits in a Red Bull.
Is he Alex Albon by chance?
No, I'm not that bad.
Mexico coming up. Gaming, how are you looking forward to Mexico?
Well, I was going to say that all the American tracks don't get along with me, but I don't want to say that, and so we'll see. All I know is Turn 1 might be interesting.
Oh dear.
Well,
don't jinx yourself.
Well, nonetheless, congratulations, Gamey Things, on the win. It might not have been an easy one, but you are officially the winner now. And with that, I think that's all we have time for. So thank you, all the drivers, for racing. Congratulations to the podium finishers. Thank you to all the viewers for watching. And until next time, good evening, good day, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world. Have fun, and goodbye.